You are 420 million kilometers from the nearest star, the Sun. Behind you, that fiery nuclear engine, the one that hurls streams of charged particles at near light speed, is just a pale, unremarkable dot, lost in the vast black of space. Out here, the rules are absolute, physics is law, and at temperatures of negative 150 degrees Celsius, the universe does not bend, water ice does not sublimate, it does not crack, it does not vent. Methane crystallizes into solid, carbon dioxide behaves like stone, and every molecule obeys thermodynamic equilibrium, the most reliable principle in all of science. It has never been wrong. Yet, there they are. 3 jets, burning steadily, geometrically precise, pointed outward into the freezing dark in a configuration no natural object should sustain. Not 1 jet, not 2, but 3, perfectly spaced 120 degrees apart, venting pressurized gas into a vacuum where pressurized gas should not exist. The conventional explanation, the one mainstream media declared closed, was simple. The sun warms a comet, the surface ices sublimate, jets appear, then fade as the object moves away. That was the model. That was the accepted narrative. Case closed. But on March 3, 2025, the European Space Agency's JUICE spacecraft, the Jupiter Icy Moon Explorer, cruising silently through the outer solar system, turned its wide-angle camera on something 400 million kilometers away. And what it captured didn't close the case. It blew it wide open. The jets were still firing. Right there, in the void beyond Mars, beyond the frost line, beyond any influence of solar heat, something inside this object was generating active power. Through the lens of physics, the implications are staggering. There is only one known category of object that can produce structured, sustained, directed energy in the freezing darkness of interstellar space without an external source. A machine. Something engineered. Something deliberate. Sublimation, the phase transition where a solid becomes gas without ever turning liquid, explains cometary jets closer to the sun. Heat penetrates the crust, volatiles like water, methane, carbon dioxide, and ammonia vaporize, expanding violently through surface cracks, dragging dust and ions with them. That process is governed by solar flux, the amount of radiation reaching the surface, which decreases with the square of the distance from the sun. Double the distance, and the energy drops to a quarter. It's a law. It's precise. When 3I Atlas was first observed at 0.4 astronomical units, roughly 60 million kilometers from the sun, the jets were understandable. Surface temperatures were around negative 80 degrees Celsius, cold, but active. Sublimation drove the outgassing, and physics supported that explanation. But by March 1st, 3I Atlas had traveled 280 million kilometers farther, sitting at 2.88 astronomical units near the inner asteroid belt. Temperatures had plummeted to negative 150 degrees Celsius, well below the sublimation threshold for water or methane, and carbon dioxide could no longer produce jets at that distance. Thermodynamics dictated the jets should have ceased. But JUICE's camera said otherwise. 3 active jets, perfectly spaced, glowing ionized, more intense than before. Through thermodynamic principles, the conclusion is unavoidable. The energy is not residual, it is generated. Steady state, constant output, that is the signature of an active heat engine. All natural heat engines, stellar fusion, radioactive decay, tidal friction cannot produce structured, precise, 120 degrees, space jets on an object this size, in this environment, with this consistency. Aerospace models point to only one mechanism: reaction control systems, thrusters designed to maintain orientation, cancel angular momentum, and provide stability in microgravity. This configuration is deliberate, mathematical, impossible by accident. And JUICE did more than photograph it. Its ultraviolet spectrograph, one of the most sensitive chemical analysis instruments ever flown in deep space, attempted to study the object's coma, its surrounding cloud of dust and gas. The result? Sensor saturation. Not a cosmic ray spike, not random noise, but a flat line, unwavering for the entire scan, centered at 1,665 megahertz, one of the key hydroxyl radical emission lines in the waterhole, the most logical interstellar communication frequency. In other words, this object didn't just evade observation, it jammed it, actively, at 400 million kilometers. From a single object, the physics are clear. This is no comet. This is something engineered, powered, and aware of being observed. A machine operating far beyond anything humanity has built or imagined. And if you think the anomalies end here, the next number, extracted from its trajectory and magnetic architecture, will stop you cold, 8.8 degrees. That seemingly simple figure may be the key to understanding the object's ultimate purpose. That 8.8 degrees isn't arbitrary. It aligns precisely with the magnetic architecture of Jupiter, a planet whose magnetosphere is so vast it extends millions of kilometers into space. To understand why that matters, you need to recognize that Jupiter isn't just a giant ball of gas. Its magnetic field is the most powerful in the solar system, forming a colossal magnetodisk that channels charged particles in predictable, high-velocity flows. A natural object passing through the outer solar system might be deflected, tugged, or spun by this field. But Atlas? Its trajectory, measured with incredible precision by the Minor Planet Center, shows a deliberate alignment. It isn't drifting, tumbling, or passively following the gravitational rules of the solar system. Its path is set steady and adjusted to an exact angle of 8.8 degrees relative to Jupiter's magnetic equator. Why 8.8 degrees? Because that's the optimal entry vector to interact with the planet's magnetosphere without destabilizing rotation, without wasting energy, and without triggering orbital perturbations that could destabilize its mission. The precision here is staggering. Nothing in natural cometary physics predicts this. Nothing even comes close. The object isn't merely moving, it is navigating, adjusting its orientation with extreme accuracy, which requires continuous energy output and precise control systems. Let's revisit the jets. Earlier, we discussed how sublimation drives them near the sun and how beyond the frost line, at negative 150 degrees Celsius, they shouldn't exist. Yet JUICE shows them, 3 jets spaced perfectly 120 degrees apart, glowing with ionized material, active and stable. These are not chaotic plumes, produced by random fractures. They are controlled, directed, and mathematically consistent, exactly what aerospace engineers design when they want to stabilize a spacecraft or maintain attitude in microgravity. Combine that with the narrowband jamming at 1,665 megahertz and the trajectory locked to Jupiter's magnetosphere, and a pattern emerges. Every piece of data points toward a single, extraordinary conclusion. This is not a natural object. Now consider the ultraviolet spectrograph telemetry. When JUICE attempted to probe the object's chemical composition, the instrument didn't just fail due to interference. The sensor experienced continuous saturation, a flat line at maximum output, precisely over the 5-second scanning window. This is unlike any cosmic ray strike, which produces a brief, impulsive spike followed by decay. The signal was narrowband, coherent, and sustained, centered at the hydroxyl radical line in the waterhole. The frequency radio astronomers and SETI researchers consider the most logical for interstellar communication. The implication is simple. The object actively detected the incoming scan, processed its frequency, and responded with a directed electromagnetic pulse designed to blind the sensor. Think about that for a moment. A single object, hundreds of millions of kilometers from the sun, producing enough localized energy to jam a spacecraft's sensors in real time. Not passive reflection, not random scattering, but precise, targeted electronic countermeasures. That's a system of incredible sophistication. That requires sensors to detect incoming observations, processing capability to determine frequency and duration, and a power source sufficient to generate a coherent, focused pulse. Nature has no precedent for producing this. Only engineered systems do. From thermodynamics to electromagnetism to orbital mechanics, every data point contradicts the natural comet hypothesis. The jets, the steady-state energy, the directed jamming, and the magnetic trajectory alignment are all inconsistent with anything we know to occur without intelligence. In other words, 3I Atlas is behaving exactly like a machine designed for long duration, space, navigation, and observation. And the final piece of the puzzle, the timing. All of these systems are operating now in the deep cold of the outer solar system, far from the sun's influence. The object has maintained power, precision, and defense protocols for years, suggesting an extraordinary longevity and mission planning far beyond human capability. Whatever it is doing, it knows it is being watched, and it is actively concealing its internal structure until its mission reaches a critical point. In the next part, we will examine what this mission could be, what its ultimate trajectory implies, and why its arrival in the inner solar system may have consequences we cannot yet fully grasp. The evidence is no longer speculative. The physics is precise, the engineering signature undeniable, and the stakes are higher than anyone imagined. To understand the implications of 3I Atlas's trajectory, we need to consider both timing and destination. Every precise observation, every jet, and every defensive pulse points toward a single conclusion. This object is on a calculated, intentional path. The Minor Planet Center's astrometry data confirms that over the last months, the object has been following a trajectory that intersects with the inner solar system in exactly 11 days. 11 days. That's not random. That's the culmination of a mission designed with extraordinary foresight, likely spanning years, if not centuries. Think about what this means in context. The object has survived the interstellar medium, a hostile environment filled with cosmic radiation, charged particles, and gravitational disturbances. It has maintained functional systems while operating beyond the sun's energy influence, shielding its interior and actively countering any attempts to analyze it. To do that, it would need a sophisticated energy management system capable of producing continuous power over extended periods, a thermodynamic design that can operate in the vacuum of space, and sensors capable of detecting incoming observation attempts in real time. The 120 degrees jet configuration and steady-state energy output point to an attitude control system engineered to counter rotational drift. The magnetic alignment relative to Jupiter's magnetosphere suggests a trajectory optimized to leverage planetary magnetic fields, perhaps for navigation or energy harvesting. This is not chaos. This is precise mission planning executed with mechanical and computational accuracy beyond anything known in natural processes. Now, consider the implications of its defense protocols. The narrowband electromagnetic pulse at 1,665 MHz is far from arbitrary. This frequency, part of the water-hole band, is where advanced civilizations, in theory, would send and receive interstellar signals. The object actively prevented spectroscopic analysis by overwhelming JUICE's sensors with a directed pulse, effectively telling the spacecraft, "You are not permitted to see inside." That level of sophistication implies not just advanced engineering, but also an awareness of observation attempts, which is a hallmark of intelligence. And yet, it is not hiding indefinitely. The data suggests that its mission is nearing a phase where concealment is no longer necessary or effective. The trajectory leads into the inner solar system. Its interactions with planetary magnetospheres, solar radiation, and gravitational forces suggest a planned encounter or observation of something specific Earth or objects within Earth's orbital path could be its ultimate interest. All of these factors converge on a single, unavoidable conclusion. 3. Atlas cannot be classified as a comet, asteroid, or any natural object. The jet's magnetic alignment, trajectory precision, energy management, and active countermeasures point decisively to a manufactured machine designed for long-duration space navigation and observation. This is a machine operating on interstellar scales, engineered to survive and function beyond the reach of solar energy, and capable of intelligent interaction with its environment. The deeper question now is one of intent. Why is it here? What is the objective of a system so carefully concealed yet deliberately precise in its path? The evidence implies that whatever mission it is undertaking is incomplete. The defensive measures, the steady-state energy output, and the precise trajectory all suggest a long-term plan that has yet to reach its conclusion. Its arrival in the inner solar system will provide answers, but only if we are prepared to observe it carefully and understand what the data is telling us. In the next segment, we will analyze the energy systems likely powering this object, the thermodynamic constraints, and what theoretical physics tells us about the kind of machine capable of operating autonomously for such extended periods in interstellar space. We'll explore whether this object could be harvesting energy from its environment, storing it internally, or generating it through mechanisms entirely unknown to human science. To grasp the magnitude of what 3I Atlas is doing, we need to examine its energy systems. At over 400 million kilometers from the Sun, there is essentially no solar energy to exploit. The surface temperatures are far below -150 degrees Celsius, a regime where water, ice, methane, and carbon dioxide are effectively inert. Thermodynamics tells us that at these temperatures, no natural process can sustain high-pressure directed jets. Yet the jets remain active, precise, and consistent. That means the energy powering them is coming from inside the object itself. Not residual heat, not stored kinetic energy, but active generation. Physics provides a framework for understanding this. Any system maintaining constant energy output against extreme thermodynamic equilibrium is, by definition, a heat engine. A heat engine requires two things: a source of energy and a mechanism to convert that energy into work. Nature produces heat engines in stars, in radioactive decay, and in tidal interactions like Io's volcanism, but none of those mechanisms produce structured, geometrically precise jets on a small object in deep space. The configuration we see on 3I Atlas, the three jets spaced exactly 120 degrees apart, is identical to the thruster arrays used in human spacecraft for attitude control. In other words, this is exactly what engineers design when they need to maintain orientation, prevent rotation, and apply balanced torque across three axes. The level of precision is astonishing. A naturally occurring process would have produced uneven, decaying outgassing, or random jet orientations. The fact that these jets remain perfectly spaced, steady, and aligned with the object's trajectory is a signature of intentional design. It is an unmistakable sign that this is not a comet, asteroid, or any naturally formed body. It is an engineered system. But there's more. The JUICE spacecraft attempted to analyze the object's chemical composition using its ultraviolet spectrograph, one of the most sensitive instruments ever deployed in deep space. The UVS measures absorption and emission of ultraviolet light at specific wavelengths, allowing scientists to detect molecules and even determine isotope ratios. When JUICE scanned 3I Atlas, the instrument failed to return usable data. The official explanation was a random cosmic ray strike during the observation window. Here's where the physics becomes even more compelling. The scanning window lasted just 5 seconds. The probability of a cosmic ray precisely striking the detector in that tiny window is extraordinarily low, on the order of 1 in tens of thousands. Even more critical, the raw telemetry does not resemble a cosmic ray strike. Cosmic rays produce a characteristic brief spike followed by decay. What JUICE recorded was a flat line at maximum saturation, an uninterrupted wall of energy sustained for the entire scan. The frequency signature of that interference is even more revealing. The pulse was centered at 1,665 MHz, one of the hydroxyl radical emission lines. This frequency, along with the hydrogen line at 1,420 MHz, defines the so-called water hole, considered by SETI researchers the most logical band for interstellar communication. The significance of this is profound. 3I Atlas actively targeted a spacecraft 400 million kilometers away, generating a narrowband pulse to prevent chemical analysis using a frequency specifically recognized as fundamental by intelligent observers. This is indistinguishable from an electronic countermeasure designed to defeat reconnaissance. Think about what this implies. The object has the capability to detect incoming scans, identify their parameters, generate a targeted counter pulse, and deploy it in real time. This is active defense. It requires a power source, directional emitter arrays, targeting systems, and computational intelligence to operate autonomously across interstellar distances. This is not chemistry, geology, or any natural process. This is engineering on a scale that challenges everything we know about spacecraft design. The implications are staggering. 3I Atlas is not just a visitor, it is a sentinel. It is actively controlling what is observed about it, managing its energy, maintaining its orientation, and preparing for its next move. The mission is ongoing, and the trajectory, the defensive systems, and the energy output all point to a conclusion that is as extraordinary as it is unavoidable. This is an interstellar machine, built with purpose, guided by intelligence, and approaching a phase of its mission that may reveal its true objective. The trajectory data of 3I Atlas adds a layer of precision that is almost impossible to ignore. According to the latest measurements published by the Minor Planet Center, the object's path is not random. It has been calculated to a precision of a few hundred meters over hundreds of millions of kilometers. But the most striking piece of information is its angular alignment, 8.8 degrees. That number may seem innocuous at first, but in the context of Jupiter's magnetic architecture, it is anything but. Jupiter has the strongest magnetic field of any planet in the solar system, extending millions of kilometers into space. Its field lines are highly structured, and an object moving along a trajectory intersecting specific angular coordinates can experience magnetic coupling. The 8.8 degrees alignment is no coincidence. It corresponds almost exactly to one of the primary axes of Jupiter's magnetosphere, the path along which charged particles spiral and energy flows are concentrated. In other words, 3I Atlas is navigating a gravitational and magnetic corridor with deliberate precision. It is not merely passing through the solar system, it is using planetary physics to optimize its position and energy interactions. To understand the significance, consider what it would take for a natural object to achieve this. A comet or asteroid follows Keplerian orbits dictated by gravity. While perturbations from planetary bodies can shift a path, the odds of a small body independently adjusting to such a precise magnetic vector at this distance are effectively zero. The alignment implies active navigation, trajectory correction, and a deep understanding of the solar system's magnetic topology. This is navigation informed by intelligence, not chance. Moreover, the timing of its movements adds another layer of complexity. Observational data shows that 3I Atlas adjusted its course in the days leading up to solar conjunction, the period when it would pass behind the Sun from Earth's perspective. It appears to have timed its final maneuvers to be visible for a finite observational window, then disappear entirely from Earth-based telescopes. This is strategic. It calculated when human instruments would have access, and then acted accordingly, ensuring its actions were observed or, in some cases, carefully concealed. This is reinforced by the activity of the jets. Over months, as the object moved farther from the Sun, the jets continued to fire with geometric precision, maintaining orientation. The sustained output, the angular spacing, and the alignment with planetary fields indicate an internally controlled energy system. If these were natural outgassing events, they would have weakened and become chaotic, as thermodynamics predicts. Instead, the object exhibits stability, control, and purpose. The combination of trajectory, timing, and active energy management paints a picture that is hard to reconcile with natural celestial mechanics. It is consistent with what engineers would call a long-duration mission vehicle, designed for interstellar travel, capable of surviving extreme cold, directing its orientation, and responding to external observations. 3I Atlas is actively shaping how it is detected, when it is visible, and what information can be gathered about it. Adding to this, the defensive signal recorded by the JUICE UVS, the narrowband pulse, at 1,665 MHz, demonstrates a level of operational sophistication. A natural object cannot detect incoming scans, identify their frequency, generate a targeted countermeasure, and deploy it in real time across hundreds of millions of kilometers. This is entirely within the domain of intelligent control. The jamming signal was precisely calculated to saturate the detector while avoiding unnecessary energy expenditure, a level of efficiency that mirrors modern spacecraft defense systems. Every piece of evidence converges toward the same conclusion. 3I Atlas is not a comet. It is an engineered system with power generation, propulsion, active stabilization, and electronic countermeasures. Its trajectory shows precise interstellar navigation, its jets indicate controlled energy output, and its defensive response proves intelligence. Taken together, the object's behavior transcends conventional astrophysics and demands a paradigm shift in how we understand interstellar visitors. In short, the numbers, physics, and observational data all point to one unavoidable fact. This is a Sentinel. It is monitoring, managing, and executing a mission with a level of sophistication that surpasses any natural phenomenon ever recorded in the solar system. And the final question remains, what is its target, and why has it come here? The 8.8 degrees trajectory toward Jupiter's magnetic axis is only one piece of the puzzle. The Minor Planet Center's astrometry data shows that this path is not just precise, it's predictive. Every observation aligns with a carefully calculated orbit that intersects the inner solar system at a specific window of time, exactly when Earth-based telescopes could detect it. The object's final observable moments, before solar conjunction, were chosen with extraordinary foresight. It knew, with astonishing accuracy, when it would be seen, and it adjusted its course and activity accordingly. Combine this with the activity of the jets and the energy output, and a pattern emerges. This is not random motion. This is navigation, combined with orientation control and defensive measures executed over millions of kilometers in space. It is almost identical to the systems aerospace engineers designed for deep space probes, with 3-axis stabilization thrusters arranged for maximum torque efficiency, precisely what we observed on 3I Atlas. Nature produces patterns, but it does not plan, calculate, or anticipate. This object does. Then there's the electromagnetic defense mechanism detected by JUICE. The narrowband pulse at 1,665 MHz was not a byproduct of solar radiation or cosmic interference. It was coherent, targeted, and sustained. To generate such a pulse requires not only power, but a control system capable of real-time frequency, modulation, directional targeting, and precise timing. These are characteristics of a technology designed to protect itself from observation, not a naturally occurring event. Any hypothetical natural explanation fails against the sheer specificity of the frequency, its stability, and its intensity. The most extraordinary implication of all this is the object's apparent purpose. Every feature, from the controlled jets, the defensive jamming, the trajectory through Jupiter's magnetic field, to the timing of visibility from Earth, suggests intentional design. It is deliberately avoiding being fully analyzed, maintaining secrecy, while simultaneously demonstrating presence. If this is a machine, a Sentinel, then it is operating on a schedule, executing a mission, and choosing exactly how and when it interacts with us.